Hi everyone, and welcome to the Florida Technology Advisory Committee's Tech Tips from the Field. I am Lori Gorig, SLP and Assistive Technology Specialist from Pinellas County Schools. I will be sharing the prompting hierarchy for supporting students using AAC or Augmentative Alternative Communication Systems as their means of communication. Whether it is a communication board, a multiple message voice output device like a GoTalk, a communication app on an iPad, or a high-tech dedicated communication device. Your student has a communication system and you know you should be using core words and aided language input to teach language and communication. But you might be wondering, what should I do if my student isn't using the system to communicate? Or he only uses it to request his preferred items or activities? Well, before you even begin thinking about how to prompt your students to respond using the communication system, you need to teach the vocabulary through modeling. We can't expect our students to use a communication system if they don't know the words, or they don't know where the words are located, or they don't know they are even supposed to be communicating with these symbols and words. Remember, your students need to see others using their communication system through aided language input to realize what communication is all about. Your students might need to see this in action hundreds or thousands of times. Don't jump to taking a student's hand to point. Prompting in AAC is the opposite of prompting you might use within the classroom for academic activities. Prompting in AAC is least to most prompting. You give your student the least amount of prompting needed when your student is able to do the task, but for some reason he is not. He might not yet understand what's going on. He might not want to comply. Or maybe he might not want to say any of the words or symbols in front of him. So if you are going to do some least to most prompting to assist your students to communicate, what exactly are you prompting? What is that task, that method the student uses to communicate? For most students, we are talking about communication boards or books, simple voice output devices like GoTalks or Big Macs, communication apps on an iPad, or high-tech dedicated communication devices. And that task would be pointing at symbols or text, pressing a button, or tapping a touchscreen. If your student has the physical ability to do these things, then with teaching and modeling, your student should eventually begin communicating with you. If your student does not have the physical ability to do these things, pointing, pressing, or tapping, then instead of taking the student's hand and making him do it, figure out an alternative method of communication, such as partner-assisted scanning or eye gaze. Let's look at the steps. First, you are going to wait to see if he needs any prompting. Students need time to process, and you are waiting after each step as you go through the process. If you've paused and your student still does not respond, try a visual cue. Here are some examples. Just gesture towards the communication system, kind of like reminding him to use it. Shine a flashlight on the symbol you think he ought to be saying. Move the system closer to the student. Point at the symbol. Remember, these are done without carrying on a conversation or encouraging him to respond. Don't forget to wait. If no response, try a verbal cue. Here are some examples. Sentence starter. We went to the... Give a hint. It is in your social page. Are you thinking it's big? Provide a choice. Are you talking about new shoes or new books? Your verbal cue is not a direct command. You do not tell him what to do. This may only lead to a compliance or behavior issue. Just give him a suggestion and keep teaching. Remember, at the beginning, we aren't requiring that our students communicate with us. We are teaching. We are modeling. You are waiting. Okay, if still no response, provide some examples. If the visual verbal cues don't help, here are some examples. Remember, communication comes from within each of us. Don't tell him what to say in a command. Try these. You could say the main character in the story is a girl. Some people might say, stop when others hit them. If still no response, go ahead and model for him and move on. When you provide models and hundreds or thousands of opportunities to teach the words, your students will not need hand over hand. Our motto is taken from Rachel Maddow: inspire, don't require. Teach your students, interact with them, model for them. Requiring a response from them just stops the flow of the interaction. On behalf of the Florida Technology Advisory Committee and Pinellas County Schools, I want to thank you for joining us today.